Today, we're going to talk about the first steps you need to take when opening a business. First off, conduct market research. You want to ensure that you're opening a business or creating a product that is in demand. And while the internet allows for business owners to reach customers all over the country and all over the world, it also allows for competition to be greater because anyone else in the world can get those customers. So doing your research about your market will allow you to figure out whether or not there's an opportunity to turn your idea into a viable and successful business. It's also a great way to gather information about your potential customers and your competition. Find out what the competition could be doing better and what customers are looking for. And when your research is complete, write a business plan. Sometimes this step can feel old school, but it's so important to create a roadmap for yourself and your business. There's no right or wrong way to create a business plan. It can be pages long, or a one-sheeter, or on PowerPoint. Ensure that it includes an executive summary telling the reader why your company will be successful. Your business plan is when you'll create a mission statement, detail your product or service, explain who the leadership team will be, where the business will be located, and the high-level plans for growth. Then you'll go into more detail about the types of problems the company will solve, the types of customers it will serve, and the competitive advantages that your company has. Have you found the perfect location? Have you assembled experts on your team? What are you creating that sets you apart? Your market analysis section will piggyback off of your market research. Ensure that you know the ins and outs of the industry outlook and target market. And be honest with yourself about the competition, what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. Detail why it works and how you can do it better. Then describe the organization. How will it be set up and who will run it? Include an organization chart and choose your entity type. We'll talk more about entity setups in a little bit. Then include any detailed information about the product or service line. Explain how it can benefit customers and how the life cycle looks over the next 3, 5, and 10 years. What will your marketing strategy look like? How will you attract and, more importantly, retain customers? If you need funding, make sure to include how much you'll need and what you plan to use that money for. Differentiate if you want to take on debt and repay a loan back to someone, or if you're looking to give someone equity, ownership in the entity instead of repaying the money they loaned you. Last is your financial projections. The goal here is to see if you can run a stable business that will financially succeed. Listen, lots of business owners can sell $1 million worth of product in a year. The trick is to ensure that those products don't cost you $1.1 million to purchase, because then you actually made no money. Sales are a much less important metric when looking at the overall financials and what it costs to run the business. Instead, focus on the gross profit. And the gross profit is the money left over after your total cost required to sell that product. Also consider overhead expenses like rent and employees that will be due regardless of whether or not a sale is made. You have to afford those expenses every month, so ensure that your financial projections reflect a business that can hold its own. Below are 2 examples of business plans that you can download. One is an example of a long format, and one is lean. Next up is your entity selection and your business structure. Figure out which entity type is best for your situation based on what you're trying to accomplish and what you want for your future. Most small businesses start as a single-member LLC or a multi-member LLC if there's more than one owner, to create a legal separation between their business and personal assets. But that doesn't mean that's the best place for you to start. So for example, if you plan to take the company public one day, you probably want to set it up as a C corporation from the get-go. Keep in mind though that the business entity type can always change in the future. Name selection. Depending on the industry and your type of customer that you're serving, the ability for people to find you on the internet and remember your business name might be very important. So when picking your business name, if you want it to be the same or similar to your entity's name, consider things like search engine optimization, name recognition, and distinguishability. When people search for your business name, you want them to be able to find you. And you also want to make sure you stand out among those around you. As an example, every accounting firm that started before 2010 was named after the owner or owners of the accounting firm. Boring. No one's going on their computer today to search for bars, bonds, Pisano, PC. That's why we came up with Engaged CPAs. It's so much more distinguishable among other accounting firms, and it's not hard to find us anywhere on the internet under that name. Register your business with the state. Once you're ready to move forward, let the state know that you want to register your business officially. And this is when you'll set up your entity and your name, and you're officially on the state's radar. Ensure that you understand what that means for you and whether or not you need to file any annual reports with the state to let them know that you're still operating the business. Some states have a requirement every year to kind of check in and make sure you're still doing business in the state. Officially registering your business with the state is something you can do with a lawyer or through an online service like Zen Business, InkFile, or LegalZoom. Next up, you need to get your federal and state identification numbers. Now, this step is usually done in tandem with the business registration. Remember, the way to get on the IRS's radar is to get assigned an employer identification number, or an EIN. So once your business is registered with the state, then you can tell the IRS about it, and they'll assign you an EIN. If you know that you need to run payroll for employees from the start, you can also get your state withholding IDs for payroll taxes. Your payroll company also might help with this to ensure that you're signed up for all of the proper types of payroll taxes that you'll owe. Next, you need to open up a business bank account and use that for all business income and expenses from here on out. Also, open up a business credit card. Keep in mind, everything should be under the EIN of the business. This will be very important to keep all business purchases coming from one account. But it's also important if you're an LLC and operating as such, because you need to keep your business and personal assets separate. So opening accounts in the business's EIN is crucial in maintaining that separation. But even if you are a sole proprietor and don't have that LLC legal protection, it's still easier for record-keeping purposes to keep all business income and expenses in separate bank accounts. Then you're off and running. You're a business owner and you did everything correctly. So make sure that you save all of these documents that you collected along the way. You'll need that EIN letter from the IRS for various things, and you never know when you might need to prove your entity registration. I always suggest a consultation with an accountant. Get help setting up your books and coming up with a plan for who will be in charge of them and how many hours a week will be allocated to keeping your books and records up to date. Figure out what other types of taxes you need to be aware of. Sales taxes, payroll taxes, business privilege, and mercantile taxes. Ask the accountant what other businesses like yours might be subject to, not only at the business level, but also at the personal level, for anything that flows to you personally as the result of owning a business. And use this first meeting to understand the approximate amount that you should be saving for taxes. Make sure you oversave for taxes in the first year to get in the good habit of having extra money saved for your tax bill. Then you can set up a phone and a phone plan under your business name. Start to open up things under the business name instead of your personal name. This step serves two purposes: building credit under your LLC or corporation's name, as you pay things timely and don't borrow a high percentage of your available credit, and it also creates that legal separation between your business and personal assets, which is the entire point of the LLC. As you start to open credit, which is important in the future, as your business will probably need funding at some point for either equipment or a business acquisition, it would be best to also start showing the ability to borrow and pay back your debts without penalties and interest. So make sure that you only utilize about 30 to 40% of your total credit available. Doing this will demonstrate to the bank that early on in your business, you didn't rely on your credit so hard, like a lot of businesses do, and you were able to operate and pay back debts responsibly. That will show that you're a responsible business owner, which will ultimately result in you paying less interest for your debt over the life of your business entity, which is a sneaky way to save tens of thousands of dollars potentially in interest compared to those with bad credit who are paying a lot in interest for their borrowed money. From a financial standpoint, the sooner you understand how your books will be done, how often you can review them, and what they're telling you, the sooner you're going to feel in control of your business and able to control how much money you bring home personally. And here are some additional resources that I want to make sure I share. The SBA is a phenomenal resource for small business owners. It stands for the Small Business Administration, and they're able to help with everything from funding itself to the next step you should take as a business owner. You can find them at sba.gov. I'm also a huge fan of SCORE. They're a network of volunteers that offer free business mentorships all throughout the country. You can get business advice, take workshops, and have the support of someone when you're just getting started or going through a transition in your business. And you can find them at score.org. So taking these steps in this order will allow you to be so much further ahead than your competition. If you found this video helpful, we're real accountants and CPAs who work with hundreds of small business owners just like you every day. Check us out at engagecpas.com to see if we're a good fit for your business. We also have business courses available to help small business owners understand their business. They're for you to learn about your financials, your taxes, how to pick the right entity, tax myths, and everything else about your business. Learn at your own pace. Check those courses out on the Education tab on our website. You can also find us on Instagram at Engage CPAs.